And here in the United States, Boeing CEO David Calhoun has apologized to the families of the victims from two deadly plane crashes. The two crashes involving Boeing's 737 MAX jets took place in 2018 and 2019 and killed nearly 350 people. Calhoun's apology came as he appeared to testify before the Senate's investigation subcommittee. However, relatives of the victims say they want the U.S. government to charge Calhoun with manslaughter. And the families have also demanded compensation of almost $25 billion from Boeing. Here's our report with the latest.
5 years ago, 346 people were killed in two plane crashes within a span of 5 months. First off the coast of Indonesia in October 2018, and then in Ethiopia in March 2019. And the one common thing between these two accidents was that they involved Boeing 737 MAX airplanes, which were later found to have faulty flight control systems. Now, years later, the American planemaker CEO David Calhoun has apologized to the families who lost their loved ones in those plane crashes.
I would like to apologize on behalf of all of our Boeing associates spread throughout the world, past and present, for your losses. They're gut-wrenching. And I apologize for the grief that we have caused. And I want you to know we are totally committed in their memory to work and focus on safety for as long as we're employed by Boeing. So again, I'm sorry.
Calhoun apologized as he came face-to-face with the relatives of the victims before his opening remarks in front of a Homeland Security Investigations subcommittee on Tuesday. He faced an intense grilling during the special hearing at the U.S. Senate. Calhoun was questioned on Boeing's production inspection processes and whistleblower safety amid calls for his resignation. Now, this was Calhoun's first appearance before Congress since Boeing's mishap in January when the door of a 737 MAX 9 plane ripped off during an Alaska Airlines flight at an elevation of about 16,000 feet near Portland. The 67-year-old, who received a salary of more than $32 million last year, took over as Boeing CEO after two fatal crashes, but plans to step down at the end of this year. On Tuesday, Calhoun testified that the company has learned from its past mistakes and accepted that Boeing had earlier retaliated against whistleblowers, but it had listened to those employees since. Calhoun told the Senate that some of Boeing's problems came from an untrained workforce and blamed the layoffs and worker turnover for manufacturing issues at the company.
Much has been said about Boeing's culture. We've heard those concerns loud and clear. Our culture is far from perfect, but we are taking action and we are making progress. We understand the gravity, and we're committed to moving forward with transparency and accountability.
Now, throughout the hearing, Calhoun defended Boeing's safety record during his tenure. He said that the plane maker has taken steps to strengthen its approach to safety, engineering and quality, and was continuing to do so after the January incident. However, the family members who attended the hearing were unimpressed by Calhoun's statements as they heckled him throughout the hearing while holding up photos of the victims. They have now demanded a fine of nearly $25 billion for the plane crashes which killed their loved ones.
That safety, that number one priority of Boeing, of their CEOs, of their management, of their engineer, doesn't mean anything when 346 people died. We are here today and driving here. It doesn't matter how far, because all I could think is the 6 minutes and 4 seconds of my daughter on that Boeing 37 MAX.
I'm here very simply to confront her killer. He was aware of all the design defects. He was one of the head decision makers to put the plane in the air, to keep the plane in the air after Lion Air crashed in late October, 5 months before. And he is a mass killer. And I want to look him in the face. If there's no risk of jail time for these decision makers who play with our lives, then there will be no change.
The families also want the U.S. government to prosecute Calhoun and charge him with manslaughter.
I hope they listen to what Calhoun has to say. and also check it with the facts. The Department of Justice told us they had everything that's in the House report. And so I am at odds as to why they were not charged with manslaughter. If they had the information, they could have had a more serious indictment against Boeing. What they did is they actually benefited Boeing.
Now, as Boeing continues to be under numerous probes, the U.S. Justice Department is considering whether to revive a criminal charge of fraud against the plane maker laid in 2021 that was linked to the two crashes. The charge has laid dormant since Boeing acknowledged in a settlement that it had misled air safety regulators about aspects of the 737 MAX plane. Boeing had also promised to create a new compliance system to detect and prevent further fraud. But the real question is, will a fraud charge be enough for the families who have lost their loved ones forever?
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.